You open your eyes. Before you even say good morning to yourself, life has already begun. Messages, responsibilities, expectations, thoughts you didn't invite, feelings you didn't choose, questions you didn't prepare for. And somewhere in all of that, you're supposed to know what to do. Life doesn't wait. It doesn't hand you a syllabus. It doesn't say, here are the questions you'll face today. It simply places the paper in front of you and says, answer. Some questions are small. A conversation you've been avoiding. A habit you promised to break. A decision about your health. Some questions are heavier. Money, family, fear, loneliness. And the strange part is this. Your answers today quietly design the questions of tomorrow. In school, you knew the pattern. You studied the syllabus, you memorized the chapters. You walked into the exam hall knowing what to expect. But life is not a mock test. Every morning, you wake up to a fresh exam. No optional questions, no skipping the hard ones. And even if you leave a question blank, life still counts it as an answer. So the real question becomes, what tool are you using to answer life's questions? Your habits? Your reactions? Your emotions? Your focus? All of them come from one place, your brain. And here is the truth most people never hear. Your brain is a biological machine, and biology has laws. You cannot change what you do not understand. Most people go through their entire life without ever understanding the machine that runs it. Not their car, not their phone, their mind. How it thinks, how it predicts, how it reacts, how it shapes their future. That is why Deuron exists. Not to motivate you, not to overwhelm you with information, not to drown you in scientific terms, but to give you something simple, understanding, clear stories, real-life examples, practical ideas you can actually use. And before we go further, you might notice something unusual. This podcast is slower. There is no background music, no dramatic sound effects, no fast talking, no accent to fight through. Every word is clear. Every sentence is intentional. Every pause is deliberate. This is not an aesthetic choice. It is a neurological one. Your brain can only absorb a small amount of deep information at a time. When things move too fast, too loud, too messy, your brain discards most of it. Not because you are weak, because you are human. That is why Deuron is divided into many small episodes, over 100 of them, each one built on a foundation of strong, interconnected pillars. Understanding, regulation, lifestyle, higher brain, and society. Nothing random, nothing improvised. This is a system, a map, a path. You cannot change what you do not understand. So we start at the beginning, and we move step by step. And yes, we use advanced AI tools for this voice. Not to replace the human voice, but to remove distractions. The hesitations, the background noise, the filler words, the accidental pauses. So your mind doesn't waste energy on anything except the idea itself. This is not entertainment. This is training. This is implementation. Because knowledge without use is just decoration for the mind. Think of it like money. If someone gave you 1 million coins in one day, you would drop most of them. But if someone gave you 1 coin a day, you would keep every single one. And one day, you would realize you became wealthy. Your brain works the same way. Small improvements, repeated, patiently, quietly, until one day, something shifts. The world is still chaotic, but you are not. You feel steady, clear, grounded. You are still listening. That says your mind prefers clarity over noise, depth over quick fixes, understanding over empty motivation. That is exactly who Deuron was built for. This journey will not ask you to change your life overnight. It will ask you to do something much smaller. Show up. 5 minutes a day. Fully present. One idea at a time. One step at a time. One neuron at a time. Because 5 minutes of full attention is more powerful than 1 hour of half listening. Your brain does not grow through intensity. It grows through consistency. Many people are tired of noise. Many people crave clarity. And many simply want to understand themselves better. If that sounds like you, Deuron is not just a podcast for you. It becomes your handbook, your quiet companion, your daily investment, 1 penny at a time. Because every answer you give to life begins inside your brain. So, take a breath, and let's begin. The first question life asks is simple. How does your brain actually work? Let's find out. So, in the premiere, we ended with a question. We said, let's find out. But before we dive into explanations and science, it helps to start with something much simpler, something most of us have experienced. Imagine this. You leave home in the morning, you lock the door, you walk to the car, and when you sit down inside, something interesting has already happened. Your phone is with you. Your wallet is with you. Your car key is already in your hand. Most of us didn't stop and consciously plan each of those steps, yet everything happened almost automatically. The phone, the wallet, the keys. It didn't happen by accident. Your brain was already working in the background, preparing, anticipating, predicting. Because the brain is not just reacting to the world. The brain is constantly predicting what comes next. In fact, many neuroscientists now believe something even stronger. Your brain is not mainly a reaction machine. It is a prediction machine. It is always trying to stay 1 step ahead of the present moment. Which means something interesting. When we move through familiar situations, leaving home, driving to work, making coffee, the brain is already running a model of what is likely to happen next. That's why so many actions feel effortless. The brain has already rehearsed them, quietly, in advance. And once you notice this idea, you start seeing it everywhere. People have observed this in small, everyday moments. For example, have you ever walked into a room and suddenly forgotten why you went there? Many people experience this. You walk in, you pause, you look around, and for a moment, your mind feels blank. Most of us assume that's just a memory failure, but something else might be happening. Your brain had one prediction about what mattered a moment ago. Then you stepped into a new space, a new context, and the brain quickly updated its model of the situation. In other words, it changed the prediction. Sometimes when that happens, the original intention briefly disappears. Not because the brain failed, but because it moved on to a new prediction. The brain is constantly doing this, updating, adjusting, predicting, all the time. Not occasionally, not sometimes, all the time. And that leads to a very interesting question. If the brain is always predicting the world around us, what happens when the prediction is wrong? Because reality does not always follow the script our brain prepared. Sometimes, something unexpected happens. The brain predicted one thing, reality delivered another. That small mismatch has a name. It's called a prediction error. And strangely enough, those moments when the brain gets it wrong are incredibly important, and also very expensive. Your brain is always balancing between two modes of operation. One is the learning mode. This is when the brain slows down, pays close attention, and tries to understand something new. This mode is powerful, but it costs a lot of energy. The other mode is autopilot. This is when the brain relies on patterns it has already built. Things you've practiced before, things it can predict. Autopilot is much cheaper. It saves energy. And your brain is obsessed with energy efficiency. That is why it constantly tries to turn repeated actions into automatic ones. Driving to work, typing on a keyboard, picking up your phone, wallet, and keys. You rarely think through each step. Your brain has already predicted the sequence. But when something unexpected happens, when the prediction turns out to be wrong, the brain pauses. Almost like a quiet voice inside saying, "Wait, this is new. Let's pay attention." You may have noticed when something unusual happens on your drive, a road closed or a sudden detour, your attention instantly sharpens. And for a moment, it switches back into learning mode. Those moments are incredibly valuable, but they are also expensive. Your brain cannot afford too many of them in a single day. That's why, even if you sit in an office chair all day doing no physical work, you can still feel exhausted. Your brain has been spending energy on these expensive moments, adjusting, deciding, solving, correcting. And when too many of them pile up, the brain simply gives up trying to process everything. It falls back to autopilot. Not because it's lazy, but because it is protecting you. It's protecting your energy. That is also why your brain ignores big chunks of information when too much arrives at once. Even if you feel like you understood everything, the brain quietly filters most of it out. It simply cannot afford that many expensive learning moments. And that is exactly why Deuron is designed in small, focused pieces. So your brain can stay in learning mode just long enough to grow without exhausting itself. However, prediction errors are the real gifts, because those are the moments when the brain learns, when it adjusts, when it changes. But we'll come back to that later. Because there's another observation that many people have noticed about the brain. Sometimes it feels like the brain is helping us, and sometimes it feels like the brain is fighting us. Many people have had this thought. It can feel like the biggest obstacle in life is not the outside world, but the thoughts inside our own head. Which raises a strange question. Have you ever felt like your biggest enemy is your own brain? The strange truth is, your brain is actually trying to protect you, even if it does it in its own way. Here is the brain twist question for our next episode. Why your brain feels like your enemy. Hold that question, let it sit with you, because the answer explains many things we struggle with daily. Fear, procrastination, overthinking, and the strange feeling that sometimes the hardest battles in life happen inside our own head. That's where we go next.